is a bad angle to make yourself thin, you know.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got to do like I do. Like I have my camera pointed downward.
But I'm at my work. I just do it on my laptop. So
all right, that's the same. It's like the same angle we did last time we were here, and I was sitting on your side, and you were sitting on that side. So, well, we are back. It's the Wrestling Dorks. We are here back again for another once a year, one night only. I am good old JB, joined as always to my left by the talker of talking. It is
looks
Sam.
like to my, I guess technically, if like we were behind the screens, it would be your left.
Left and right.
I'm looking at it. You're to my left, looking at the screen. But it's once in a lifetime or whatever.
This is now thrice in a lifetime that we've made a comeback. So
yeah, it's like Roxana. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, we for those of you who are just joining us, we've been doing this shit since 2016. We are entering year number 8 of podcasting. We're not. We're more like the Undertaker at this point. Once a year, and we're happy with that. So
once a year, and we're not good. Yeah,
and we're terrible. Yeah. And we've been slowly decline. Actually, it's a pretty sharp decline, a lot like the Undertaker. So we got a lot to talk about, and that's why we're here to save you from podcasting mediocrity, to talk about all the most important things out there. Sam, I don't even know where to begin because there's just so much to talk about. I've put some, for those of you watching on video, I've put some of the headlines at the bottom, but damn, tonight kicked off the official WrestleMania season. We've also got to talk about, obviously, Vince McMahon. Don't air quotes me. We got to talk about Vince McMahon saying bye-byes. We talk about The Rock being appointed to the board. Where do you want to begin, my not so fat anymore friend?
Official WrestleMania season, like they just keep adding. Like before, it used to be like it's January, then it was Royal Rumble. Now there's officially a kickoff. I'm assuming they'll keep doing this now, even though it worked out that basically what they were doing is trying to, like everybody else's, take thunder from the Super Bowl momentum in Vegas, and have like a thing out there, which I think is a cool idea because I watched back like some of the old stuff, and back in the day, I remember some of the WrestleMania buildups. They did like fake press conferences. Fans really weren't there. It was just like plants and like fake media people. But no, I think it's a pretty cool idea. So I thought that was great. We could start. I guess let's just get the Vince out of the way.
Yeah, let's get Vince out of the way, which we would all love to get Vince out of the way at this point. I'll kind of throw you some softballs here. Basically, for those of you who might not know, but you should know if you're listening to us, Vince McMahon has been accused of many, many terrible things over the years. And this recent set of accusations is by far the worst from what I can tell. Let's just call it sexual misconduct, to say the least. Sam, what are your initial and deep thoughts? We got time here.
I like that you said accused, and you thought about alleged, like you don't want to get sued by Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if you'd have to be naive or dumb or like own a bunch of the stock and not want it to go down to not realize that Vince McMahon's been a piece of shit his entire life.
Where
do you want to start? Like, we're in Pennsylvania. We live in the Reading area. WWF, Reading, Allentown, Hamburg, huge territory. Vince McMahon got Jimmy Snuka off for murder back in the 80s.
We're going back that far.
Yes, let's just go back. He went
through the history of Vince McMahon
and got Jimmy Snuka off for murder. He killed his girlfriend, his paramour, whatever the hell you want to call her, his side piece. He killed her, not intentionally. I don't believe he did, but he was a woman abuser, whatever. Vince covered that up. So okay, that's something. Whatever. Vince was also accused in the 80s of forcing, I believe it was Rita Chatterton, ring announcer back then, of he forced her to give him a blowjob in a limo. And then I think she refused. I don't want to get anything wrong about it, but I think she refused and got fired. And nobody believed her, though, because there was no proof. It's his word against hers. And this is basically how Vince McMahon's operated. And then what happens, lo and behold, towards the end of his life, and in the era we're in, more and more stuff starts coming out, and people start giving more and more credence to accusers.
Yep.
And I'm of the camp like, yes, we do need to give more. We should believe more accusers, but I'm not the type that just says no matter what you believe an accuser. But where there's smoke, there's fire a lot of times. So there was a whole bunch of issues. Apparently, that they were looked. Are you there? You are not on. I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You're on mute on the on.
It muted me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I did. I'll edit that out.
Well, no, they should leave it because muting you is good. So
you son of a bitch.
So basically, where I was going with this was that this is not the first time something's happened or been accused of happening. But when you read this lawsuit and the breakdown, there's text messages. It's that era where we now have all these digital trails, and they said they looked into it because remember he stepped down, and there was whole Vince is retiring, and Steph came out and said, let's do a thank you, Vince. And even this was after he was accused of sexual assault.
Yep.
And he was supposedly
last year, right?
Yeah. Endeavor cleared it. But basically they figured out after all these years that Vince was putting tons of money to pay off women for all the terrible shit he did. Well, guess what? This one just came back to light, and it's fucking terrible.
It's horrendous.
He basically used his power. And again, not to this level of, I guess I'll say that we know of discussing this. We've both worked in a workplace where very similar dynamics are in play to this. However, the person is not Vince McMahon. Right. And this does happen a lot in the corporate world. But when you run a company, when you're a CEO, when you run a site, you cannot be involved in any type of relationship with somebody that reports up through you. No, because there's a power dynamic there where if at any point one of the people wants to get out, so to speak, they can't because you control their livelihood. So anyway, this is terrible because this was a woman, I guess her parents had just died. She lived in the same, I guess, complex as Vince, and I want to say landlord or the property manager knew Vince and was like, hey, would you mind giving her a job? She really needs something. Her parents passed, whatever. And Vince saw this as an opportunity.
Vulnerability. He preys on vulnerability.
Yeah.
I love that.
And basically he was whoring her out to, apparently and I don't care. I don't like the kink shame, but we learned, Vince is obviously, I would say, I'm not going to say 100% a cuck, but he's at least into three ways with other dudes, which is fine if that's what you're into. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is it's two people that directly report to him.
Right.
And that's it's just reading the stuff. And then basically he would get like, I want videos, I want nudes. And then he'd show them like referees and people. Like it's one thing if it's like, and I'm not saying this is 100% right either, but it's one thing if you're like your close friend or something, but random like people you work with, like showing videos of somebody or whatever, it's just
somebody else that works with you and works for you.
It's terrible.
He had that stranglehold on her, and that she couldn't say no, even if she wanted to. She knew that her entire livelihood was based on what he could provide for her.
Right. And you read the stuff and it's like you clearly see that other people that worked at WWE knew, and it's happened before with other women. Yeah. So let's just say Vince is a piece of shit. He's been a piece of shit. He should never, he can't ever be involved with WWE again. I'd be shocked if I know TKO and Endeavor, their owner, they're going to try, I guarantee, they're going to try and throw so much money at all these women to make this go away, because the longer it hangs out there and the more stuff, if this goes to Discovery, the stuff that comes out. So we had to talk about it just because obviously it's important and what's going on. And
this is going to be the first WrestleMania that doesn't have a McMahon in charge of WWE ever. If you think about it, like, I mean, I know Triple H is still around, so he's like family-ish, but
Paul McMahon, Levesque,
an actual McMahon, like in charge of the company. And I got to say, thank goodness TKO is in charge, because I still feel like if WWE was left to police themselves, they would have figured a way to get out of this.
Oh, and especially if they were still privately owned. Like,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
If they were a publicly traded WWE, yeah.
But they could still find a way to get out of it, I feel.
Previous to that, oh my God, it 100%, he'd still be involved.
Well, it's just like it's every 10 or, now it's more frequent, but like the pattern, like you said, every 7 to 10 years, there's another lawsuit, another thing against Vince. And it just shows that, my friend Dan, who's been on the show before, he has told me many times, Vince was basically just a big carny that happened to have a lot of money. He was just if this was 1910, he'd be in the big top. You know what I mean? Trying to sell the bearded lady to people. That's all he is a big showman. He's not a CEO. He's not an executive, because he clearly doesn't have that kind of mindset or behavior. He's just a showman. And guys like him should not be running companies.
You know what? He actually, to me, is an executive, because
I guess with some executives that we know, I guess the history.
I just mean in general, you see this at other companies too.
Yeah,
these power dynamics that
unchecked
come into
power.
play. So yeah, just an awful situation, and I still think it hasn't happened, and it may not, and I still think that Triple H could be collateral damage at some point.
I think so too. This could be it for him, because it's going to be one of those where it happens at regular companies, not wrestling entertainment companies, but like whoever was there at the time, whether they knew or not, it's got to be assumed. You know what I mean? You were part of it, or you at least it happened on your watch, kind of thing.
Right. And it's not like Triple H can plead like in terms of like that, like he's a feeble-minded, like wasn't, I mean, he's in the, his mind is still good. He knows the difference between right and wrong. So it's kind of been a damper. I know, like WrestleMania season, I think part of that, like people are glossing over this because wrestling fans are just like, hey, yeah, WrestleMania. But I listen to the one podcast I honestly listen to more than any podcast probably ever have. I listen to Between the Sheets, it's called. It's Chris Zellner and David Bixenspan. I listen to them every week, and they've and Bixenspan was speculating. He's like, if this goes to Discovery and more things come out, could this be the complete end of WWE? And Zellner's always just like, no. He's like, it won't be. He's like, it's wrestling. People don't. He said, if this was like something like the New York Yankees, like something else in sports, and this was the New York Yankees, ESPN would be leading with it nonstop, and it would be, George Steinbrenner did, X, Y, and Z, and this and that and that. And in wrestling, there's like, oh, it's Vince. Who cares? It's wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the end of Vince McMahon and WWE as we know it. Because, I mean, things are going to change. You know what I mean? It's no longer Peacock. It's no longer USA. I mean, everything's changing in the next
12 months.
Yeah, no more cock. It's going to be Netflix. It's going to be SmackDown. What is moving to USA or something? And somebody's NXT's moving to CW. All this shit. Triple H said it tonight on the kickoff, which we'll get to the kickoff in a minute. It truly is a new era. I mean, they've said this a million times over the years, but it really is, because now you've got no more Vince anywhere near the product. And they're probably going to bring, new creative people in and change things up. And I mean, I think it's going to be a good thing. And I think it's something that wrestling has needed a long time, because it's got that, maybe this gets that, I don't want to say carny again, but it gets that weird, like wrestling's always had that, underground feel to it. Maybe it does help take it out of the,
I don't know. I still think like wrestling, while it doesn't get, like I'm saying, like the media doesn't like come down like they could or should on this.
Right.
But I also think like people still disrespect in general wrestling fans.
Oh yeah, they do.
They assume everybody has no intellect, and there's some. I think we're rather smart. And
do you ever like when people say like, do you ever? First of all, do you ever even admit that you did a podcast? Because you probably don't. But if you do,
it depends. Yeah.
And do you tell them
if it was more successful? Like,
well,
I would have, yeah,
we would have been if we hadn't been held back. But if they're like, "Hey, what's your
brass
podcast
ring
all about?" Yeah, it is that brass ring. Damn it, those freaking guys in Georgia. So if they ask you about your podcast, do you say, "Oh yeah, it's about wrestling"? and then they go, "Do you get that?" Like, oh,
well, no, like I always feel like if they're not into wrestling, like they'll like judge you a little bit,
oh, absolutely.
like, and it's just like, dude, it's no different than almost any other form of
And
entertainment.
yeah,
Like I
feel
watch
the
some of
same
these
way.
stupid reality shows,
Oh my
and
god,
I'm like, this is more staged and fake than wrestling.
It's stupid. The Bachelor, that shit does not happen.
And I was like, these people are fake as shit.
Yeah,
Like
I know.
I said, maybe it's not 100% scripted, it's mostly scripted. So
I-
yeah, I think that's part of the reason that Vince overall will quote unquote get off easy. But all right, let's
anyways,
get off this. Let's go on
yeah,
to
let's get to
wrestling.
let's get to some happier times. So WrestleMania season is here now, right, Sam? Because the kickoff show, the new kickoff thing happened tonight. Mania is in Philly this year. It's a 2-night event, WrestleMania 40. We live an hour away and we are not going.
Correct.
Fuck that. I'm not spending that kind of money. That's my reasoning.
Well, yeah, because we're poor.
We're poor podcasters. I mean, if you guys maybe donate a lot of money, maybe we'll go, but it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I mean, fuck
right.
that.
And the only other time me and you were going to go to WrestleMania was in Florida, and it was supposed to be completely free. But it turned out to be a gigantic con. Not that a con to make you lose money, except I lost a couple hundred or $150, but a con, a bragging con, the worst kind of con.
The worst
yeah, but no, we're not going. It'll probably be great. I'm going to watch, of course, but
hell yeah.
So yeah, the kickoff, April 6th and 7th, Philly. We'll see what the weather's like. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. The kickoff show tonight.
I watched the end of the kickoff.
I loved it. I really did. I mean, the lead up to the main event of the kickoff, if you want to call it that, was mostly the lesser matches. You know, like I think Becky and Rhea Ripley were out there. Who else started off earlier? Damn it, I don't remember now. That's how important it was. Everybody was just there to see. It was pretty cool because it was Seth Rollins came out and then Roman came out and basically said, "Step aside, son." Nobody knows why Seth Rollins was out there because his title clearly is the second fiddle. In
right, because I guess they were billing it as like Cody's choice. Well,
yeah,
I'll get to that in a second, but yeah.
So then Rocky comes out. Now, let's back up a little bit. He was on the Pat McAfee show, which you were telling me all about. I'm glad I watched that then. Rock was just shitting on the Cody fans like crazy, which I loved. What the are you doing with your face? Do you not get to see yourself that often? You're like,
I was trying to raise my eyebrow. I used to be able to do it. Now I can't.
You're like the first time like a kid sees a mirror, they're like, "Ooh, who's this?"
Yeah,
person?
I hate it. I hate seeing my own face. But that was trying to raise my eyebrow.
I'm just looking at you because I can't look over there because it's just hideous on this side. But yeah, it was awesome. And then Rock comes out, he's shitting on the fans, and he was definite heel turn tonight, which was awesome. He said called the fans the Cody crybabies, and then he also said, as The Rock says, it doesn't matter what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania. And just when he does that, he's doing it to the fans and not his opponents. It reminds you of old Hollywood Rock.
Yeah, he set this all up on the Pat McAfee show, and
yeah,
the fact that there was people that were watching The Rock on the Pat McAfee show and thought he was legitimately just like talking as Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
is hilarious to me that they don't understand. Like The Rock is wrestling. Yes, The Rock is one of the biggest stars in the world, but The Rock is born into a wrestling family, and The Rock knows how to sell shit.
You got to give him credit, whether he's Hollywood or not.
Cody crybabies. I don't know if that was his boy Brian Gerwitz that writes everything for him.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that great, but hey, it was a clear sign that he is going to be heel, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I want to get into the fact that I know we probably are, I don't know if we disagree. I just hate, and you can get to your point and you might be on this, whatever. I hate the people that every single time something like this happens in wrestling, whoever it is, whether it's Meltzer, whether it's any other podcasters or anybody else on Twitter or X, that is like, this has always been all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. Like, no, this shit isn't part of the plan. They don't know what the fuck they're doing half the time. This shit makes no sense. If you wanted to have The Rock face Roman at Mania, how in the world do you have Cody win the Rumble? Because how would you explain that he's going to challenge Seth Rollins when the whole time his entire story arc was to finish the story beat Roman and get the big title, the one everybody recognizes as the main title in WWE. When you had him out there at the Rock and he stepped aside, it made him look like the biggest bitch ever. And while I don't understand why they had booked the Royal Rumble that way, because they could have gotten to this point here more with have Rock enter the Rumble, have it come down to Cody and Punk and the Rock and somebody else, and do the old Cody and Punk are right by the ropes, and Rock flips them both over. Everybody would have booed the Rock, I'm sure, for doing that.
Right.
And you would have gotten what you wanted anyway, and then Roman would have, but instead they didn't factor in that the fans have bought in to this Cody Rhodes finishing the story thing, and the fans would turn on the Rock right now, and they did, and they would cheer Cody, and they have. So that's my only problem with the whole thing. I hate how everybody says that it's always in the plans. No, this business is fluid, and yes, they are smart enough sometimes, like now, to make changes as they go, but they're not always able to predict the future, even when it's something that you should be able to predict. So that's my thought on this. I wanted to get that out, that WWE, the writers, the people who make the decisions, no longer Vince, don't always get this stuff right at the beginning.
So we don't have to do that fake disagree thing here that we've been told to do in the past, by those. I don't 100% disagree with you. I don't think that what's happening right now has been the plan all along. I will say that. But I don't think that they're dumb enough to think that the fans would love The Rock taking Cody's place. I don't think they're that dumb. I don't think that they were like, we're just going to bring in The Rock and make it the biggest main event of all time. I don't think that they would because the reaction to Cody winning the Royal Rumble was just too huge, and taking out Punk and the whole back and forth with him and Punk and all that stuff. They know that Cody's like supposed to be the guy at this point. So I don't think they're that stupid. So
okay, it was a big reaction for Cody, but it wasn't a crazy when The Rock came out. That pop was bigger than Cody.
Oh, absolutely.
When The Rock came out, and that music hit. Everybody gets, and then they were like, "Oh, the Code Man ain't gonna the Code Man ain't gonna like."
No.
All right. So to me, and that kind of brings me to my next point. I was texting you, kind of just to remind myself that when they were up on stage, and it's no offense or anything to Cody because it's not his fault, but star power, it's not even close between The Rock and Cody Rhodes.
I know that's the problem. It really isn't. I mean,
so WrestleMania, yes, their diehard fans are, and we're probably more in that category than casuals. Maybe we were more in that category 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago, but the casual fans watch WrestleMania. They buy stuff. I do know the diehards, though, they travel to WrestleManias. They spend their money, but they generally do that no matter what.
Right.
So somebody like The Rock brings lapsed fans back, brings people that you're hanging out with, your significant other, your kids, your nephews, whatever. Everybody knows who The Rock is.
Absolutely.
So instantly, The Rock makes things bigger.
It's the money match. That's the thing. I mean, there's no doubt that the four guys up on stage, if you were to ask most of you, well, maybe not your friends, but regular human beings, like not your friends, they wouldn't know two of those four people up on stage. They know Roman Reigns and they know The Rock.
I honestly think those four, and it depends who you'd ask. The Rock is the only one everybody's going to know.
Well, he's the only household name. There's no doubt. I mean, that's like, if you put Hogan up there, there's only 3 guys in history that just a casual human being knows.
Right.
But I'm saying Cody Rhodes is so the kids that live here with me, they don't really even know who Cody Rhodes is, because he pretty much, if you weren't watching AEW, he went from being a mid-carder, left, and now suddenly he's winning Royal Rumbles. It kind of makes no sense if you haven't been watching AEW.
And the funny thing is, this whole transition, this is AEW Cody Rhodes.
It is.
This is the same presentation. This is him. This isn't a WWE created thing. WWE had Cody Rhodes
Yeah,
and
yeah, they flubbed
didn't
that.
think much of him.
Stardust.
And he proved him wrong. He did. He proved him wrong. Started the AEW thing with the Young Bucks.
Oh yeah,
Things went awry there for him. And I had a note here.
you did
I
put a
want
note.
to
Yep.
say, to me, a big difference. So Cody and AEW, The Rock and WWE. Tonight, I truly believe that The Rock came into this thinking like, I'm the fucking Rock. I'm gonna get the tits cheered off me, and I'm gonna be the hero, and I'm gonna go at Roman Reigns. But as soon as the room reading got different, you know what? The Rock pivoted, and The Rock's like, The Rock could be a fucking great heel too.
Yeah, The
And
Rock is good at that. Yeah, he can pivot.
and he does it because that's what's right for business. It's like, when Hogan and to me, and they're saying the biggest, WrestleMania main event. I don't know. It's hard to ever surpass Hogan Andre because that was the key. And for me, Hogan Rock wasn't a main event. Should have been WrestleMania 18, one of the greatest matches. They play those guys, Hulk Hogan, The Rock. They know how to play a crowd. They know how to change things on the fly, and they did it at WrestleMania 18. And to me, this showed me that Cody and AEW was getting booed out of every building, and they couldn't figure it out. And it was a mixture of factors that WWE's kind of prevented. People don't like Brandy, so Brandy's not involved in WWE, and she was heavily in AEW. He gave a ton of promos in AEW about some of it was political or race because he's married to a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to do like this whole like race thing.
Yeah.
And WWE's pretty much like, no, because our fans will start booing you probably too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So to me, Cody had a chance in AEW to embrace that and go heel. And
I think everybody wanted that or
would have been very successful and could have. But no, he wants to be the conquering hero. And to his credit, yes, it's worked in WWE. He's been great. But to me, it showed, you got to be able to roll with the punches. And The Rock did that. The Rock put on a hell of a performance. I thought just his presence. He has presence. He has timing.
Yeah.
And I question how he's going to be able to wrestle because
I kind of don't. Yeah.
Blown up so easily.
Oh, he's going to blow up. Yeah, he's going to blow up. I mean, it's going to be so bad.
He's one big fucking muscle, and he's old as fuck.
So, all right. So now we've talked about what happened tonight. We're seeing The Rock turn heel, but it's not a full turn because he still plays to the crowd. You know what I mean? He, like you said, he can pivot. He can easily pivot. If he gets them back in the palm of his hand, he can just turn right back to face again. What do you legitimately think they do from here? Like from here, it's still 2 months away till WrestleMania. How do you envision this going? And I'm not going to like bring this back on you in a month when we record again and be like, "Oh, see, you were wrong." What do you think is the best thing?
Kind of changed my mind watching that kickoff. I know we were just talking about the kickoff, but
I did too, actually.
The way that the on the stage got aligned, where Roman walked over, Rock walked over to be on the same side as Roman, showed the family tree, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
Stood next to Roman, talked about his blood. We had the same blood. And Seth being out there, and then Seth coming to Cody's aid when he got slapped.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to think, and again, I know they're cooking up a whole bunch of different things. If I had to guess, if you'd make me guess right now what they're going to do right after watching kickoff, I'm saying that there's going to be night one. Night one is going to be Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins in a tag match main event.
So I'm with you on that, except I think that's going to happen at Elimination Chamber in Australia.
Okay, you know what? I didn't even think about it. I pivot. I believe you're
pivoting. You learn from The Rock.
Because I know Australia apparently offered WWE a fuck ton of money to produce The Rock.
Yeah.
So I think you're 100% on there. And now, and then at Mania, I think we still get. I think Cody goes over at Elimination Chamber. Yeah. And then we get The Rock and Roman explode at WrestleMania. I still don't think Cody is going to get the only thing I could possibly see is a 3-way, because that'll let The Rock hide. And not that The Rock's a bad worker. He wasn't a bad worker, but dude, he is more muscular now than ever. He's older than ever. he's obviously on all sorts of HGH.
You're not gonna be able to hang with those two guys. I mean,
Yeah,
Roman works a slow match. Yeah, Roman works a slow match, and Rock needs to work slower than that. But yeah, I think you got yourself a setup for a nice main event and Elimination Chamber, because they've already announced some of the Elimination Chamber like matches. Like, it's no disrespect, but like the women's Elimination Chamber, it kind of is not. I mean, it's going to end up being Nia Jax or something. You know what I mean? There's like not a lot of good ones in there. So you have nothing that's going to main event that huge show in Australia. So I think you're going to see a tag team match there, and then the Mega Powers explode, and you're going to have Rock and Reigns, and then maybe the two teams or something. I just wish Punk was back in the picture. That's the only thing I went back. Listen. Listen.
Oh my God, you want Punk in the picture?
Hold on a second. So listen, I do not like CM Punk, but I respect that he's a draw. All right, he's a draw, and if he would imagine if he was somehow wrapped up in this whole storyline, it would be an obvious triple threat for Cody, Rock, and Reigns, and then Punk versus Rollins. But now with him not around, I don't know what to do.
You said the Mega Powers, and immediately I went to Rock and Roman on stage. Did that like that?
They did they
had like a thing on, and I was like, "Are they? Is that going to be like their Mega Powers handshake?"
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that. I mean, in wrestling, how often? In a lot of things, but wrestling especially, history repeats itself, man, and we're seeing it again. It's they're going to create a super team, the Bloodline, the new Bloodline or whatever, and then somehow it's going to blow up or it's going to get fucked up or something. But that's a good build though, because then you can run that at the end of February, have that match, and it's just going to then you get all of March to build up towards WrestleMania. Damn it, I wish I was going though. God, imagine being there at the link and if you smell, and it just. Man, you would get the goosebumps.
Does Cody finish a story, and when? That's a question on this.
I mean, I think while The Rock's around, I think it's pointless for him to finish the story because they need to. That's the other thing, and they need to determine what's the fucking story that we're trying to tell. Is it that Cody finishes his, or is it the head of the table? There shouldn't be two major stories like this that revolve around the title.
He has to finish the story. So it almost should be, does Cody finish? Like, we have to say he will, but when? Is it?
Yeah.
When? Can they stretch this out to Mania 41? You know, they've stretched things out before. So, I mean, this would be.
Well, you see that this is just all, and then what happens if somebody else gets hurt? Because you already lost Punk, you lost Brock Lesnar, which like it did to Brock Lesnar. But like you're losing stars left and right. And what if something else goes down? And now, because Rollins is actually technically hurt right now, that he can't really go. He's got that blown out ACL or whatever. So he shouldn't be out there wrestling matches right now. So he's going to have to sit.
He'll be back though. He'll be ready for Mania, right?
He'll be ready for Mania. But how do you build a storyline when he can't have any kind of activity? So I have no idea.
He can stand on stage.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to see how it goes down. Really, It's the way that they've already pivoted, and I'm telling you, I don't think that it's as much made up as you think it is. I think they knew that there was no way in hell that they would cheer for The Rock to take Cody's spot.
I think they thought that The Rock. I believe they thought The Rock would be cheered because it's The Rock. That some people would be upset at Cody losing his spot, but not to the point where it's a full out turn on The Rock. That's just my thoughts. Your next question, though, at the bottom says, who will be the head of the table?
Yeah. I think if Rock faces Roman, you got to let Roman win that. I don't think you can let Rock just come back and good.
2 or 3 years ago, I agree 100%. But Roman's a part-timer now.
So you're saying two part-timers go against each other. I just wish that they could somehow figure out a way to let Cody win the title, finish his story, and have the Bloodline head of the table. Have both those things just finish at WrestleMania.
But how? You can't. They were, and I believe they were they thought they could do that. So I really think they were like, all right, because Seth was talking him into, you want the Dusty title. Like saying that the lesser title was the Dusty title. Yeah. They really shit on that title, by the way.
They do all the time.
They shit on it.
They did it tonight.
But I really think they thought, all right, well, we'll have Cody finish. He'll get a belt. He'll beat Seth at WrestleMania on night 1, and the real main event will be Rock and Roman at the table.
I don't think that was ever the plan. I think the plan was Punk and Seth. Punk.
Well, no. I'm saying after, like, what it was directly, like, the plans Monday, because they knew by Monday after Royal Rumble or Saturday or Sunday that Punk was done. So I think right away they're like, all right, like, let's do Cody, Seth, and whatever. Before that, I really think The Rock was out. Now they claim January 3rd. The Rock was in since the 3rd. That's possible. The only reason I think it's possible is because in the corporate world, they want diversions, and bringing back The Rock is a great diversion for what's going on with Vince.
Oh, hell yeah. I think it's the perfect. Yeah, you're right.
It's very possible, and I could be 1,000% wrong there on that, because that's tough to say for sure. Yeah. I don't know what the plans, because Rock can only really come back to face Roman. There was speculation that The Rock, it was going to be Rock Roman at Elimination Chamber for a huge Aussie blood money payoff, not Saudi blood money, Aussie blood money.
Aussie blood money. Yeah, those fuckers down there. Yeah. Oil tycoons in Australia. They get all that kangaroo money. Boom.
Vegemite.
Yeah. Vegemite. Have you ever had any? Have you ever had that? No. Oh my God. It's the worst. I can still taste it. I had it like 3 years ago. It was a dare, and I had a spoonful on my tongue. It's the fucking worst thing ever. I don't even know what you could say it tastes like. Like,
well, you hate good things like Rice Krispie treats, though.
Those are not good. Those are terrible. Rice Krispie treats, seafood, all that garbage. So look at you, by the way. You're looking pretty svelte there, buddy. How much are you down at this point?
I've lost a little bit. I just looked up from last year on this date. I think I'm down 16.
That's pretty damn good, man.
And from my high point, I think I'm down 25, I'd say.
Yeah, you're looking good. You're looking good. So that's
shooting for 15 or 20 more. Got to look good for Pamela,
You're still holding out. You got the wedding in less than 100 days, but in case Pamela swoops in on day 99.
Yeah.
It's all right. Remember, you've heard it there, Pamela, if you're hearing this. Yeah, so what are you thinking? What's going through your head? What do you think is going to happen leading up to WrestleMania? You think anything else big? You think they're going to find an opponent for Gunther? I don't want to go down the entire card, but like they've got the IC Gunther. You think anything else big is going to happen, or is it just all the focus is going to be on this?
I mean, the whole thing too with like Gunther's already broke all the records there. The other factor we didn't talk about is how Vince, I think, and the E really wanted Roman to break Hulk's record. So he would have to hold it through Mania to do that. So that's another reason that Roman, could definitely win. But yeah, what do you like? Who's going to step up? Drew,
or it could be, you could get like Randy Orton or something. I don't know. Like you got all these guys that are just going to toil around in the upper mid card that just make no sense, because you just had that 4-way at Royal Rumble, and now all 3 of those guys have nothing to do. Styles, Orton, and LA Knight.
Don't figure it out.
Is that them figuring it out? Yeah. That looks like something Vince would have been into with a bunch of guys.
They'll figure it out.
All right. Well, there you go. There's our big Wrestling Dorks comeback special.
Hey,
I enjoy this.
If something big happens, we can pop back,
It really isn't that difficult now that we've got technology on ours. Remember how fucking hard it was to get together? You had to drive to my house like after SmackDown on a Tuesday.
Well, now, I mean, I live 45 minutes away, so it'd be impossible.
Yeah, by the way, you're still not Mr. Lancaster to me.
Sorry. No, I'm Mr. Berks County.
Well, then I'm Mr. Lancaster.
I mean, you're neither. You're just terrible.
Well, I am terrible. We are very aware of how terrible I am. I've been told I'm not welcome places that I kind of wanted to go to, but I look at you. You're like looking at this guy.
Was it a church? Hospital? A school? Those are all places you're banned from, right?
Pretty much everywhere that I don't own, I'm not welcome. If I go near any place, they're like, we don't want your kind here. It's all good. But I don't even know how to end this because I don't really want to. It's been a good conversation.
It's crazy. I see your dad more than I see you.
Isn't it wild? Big Paul throwing 500. Jesus Christ, 500 series is now out there. He's killing it.
He had his second 200 game.
Yeah,
it was nice to see him. Keeps improving,
Yeah. And then he'll have one bad week, and then it's just like it's the end of the
or like one bad frame, and he comes back and he's like all like,
he's
I'm like, you're fine.
Yeah, he's all despondent. You're like, is this what it's like to be a Marlette? Yes, it is.
Although he bounces back better than you, he threw a really bad shot, got like 2 or 3 pins, and he bounced back, knocked the other 7 down for a spare. So
see, he might not be a true Marlette, because a true Marlette would have like just beaten himself up so bad he would have just been like, fuck this, I'm done. I don't even want to play anyways. You know what I mean? I don't care. That would have been the whole thing. I also still have 30 freaking Super Bowl squares to sell. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do that, but
put it on Twitter.
Just random strangers. I don't want to pay random strangers.
Why? It's the same.
No, I want to. No. See, my problem is, again, I don't have enough friends to sell squares to.
I don't understand why you just post it. Even if you get people will send you money, and if they win, you will send them money the same way.
I'm not doing that. I even reached out to Weller today to see if he wanted any squares, and he's a Bills fan, for fuck's sake.
No, we were trying to get the freaking $100 squares sold out so quick. Usually the guy does like 4 like things, and this year only did 2. So I keep looking around for a big square that we like. But
I'm just happy I got in on one of your $50 squares.
Yeah,
because at least that's something. But all right, well, there you go, everybody. I guess that's it. I don't know. Should we, Flyers are kicking ass. Baseball season's right around the corner, so I'm a happy guy these days. Going down to Florida in a month to watch some spring training.
I don't think anybody cares about Pirates spring training.
I don't think so either, but it doesn't matter. All right, man. Well, that's it for me. I think let's put a bow on this. And how did I used to end this? Did I have a tagline or something? I know the beginning I had taglines like over to my left is this fat shit. Oh wait, this is left. I don't think I did. So I guess check us out on all the socials. We're at Wrestling Dorks on Twitter.
You can follow me at the Real SCAV.
Follow him at the Real SCAV. And Sam, are you still doing your show with Undermike there? You're going to be doing any other stuff?
It's being recorded after this.
All right. Well, there you go. I'll stop holding you up. The real show comes up after this one.
Super Bowl. Now this will get watched by way more. Super Bowl special edition coming up on the Under Mike show.
You can check us out on Apple, on iTunes, all the podcast stuff, wherever you're listening to us now. We have 8 years worth of episodes. I was listening back to some of them today. Oh my God. Ooh la la, calling in. Good shit. But yeah, and the video, I'll be putting that up on YouTube. Obviously, I'll put some filters on so we don't look so portly. Make us look a little svelte. Maybe put a beard on myself. I'm trying to. Can you see all this? Look at all that.
Yeah, that's really good.
This is like a week's worth. You fuck. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching or listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.